Hey everyone, in this voice recording with a thumbnail, I'm going to be talking or speaking on the subject of the lifestyle and the behavior of the Roman patricians or the Roman elite, also known as the Roman elite, taking into consideration both male and female, patricians. And this is related to the previous voice recording I made on the Roman patricians, okay? Now, the lifestyle of the Roman patricians would be very luxurious, obviously. They would have access to the more luxury goods, maybe spices, exotic meats, from traded from the farthest regions and provinces in the Roman Republic, or sometimes also goods that are imported from outside the Roman Republic, exotic pets, exotic spices, exotic incenses, expensive furniture, jewels, expensive clothing, sometimes even silk may be imported all the way from China, the highest quality Chinese silk, luxury goods, you name it, like all kinds of items, gold, silver, they would have access to. So living in luxury with luxury goods, would be the lifestyle of patricians. Patricians would also, their housing would be, they would have their own housing blocks, away from the rest of the people in the city. They would usually live in patrician villas, patrician palaces, away from the hustle and bustle in the city. The patricians, don't prefer living in areas where there's a lot of industry, iron mines, weapons making. They don't prefer to live near the noise and the daily grind of the rest of the city. They would prefer to live in areas where it's very aesthetically pleasing or relaxing. Like they would prefer areas with a lot of gardens, trees, fountains, sometimes on the side of a river, roads that are plazas, very well designed, beautiful luxury areas. So this is just to give you a brief, simple explanation on the patrician lifestyle. So they would have access to every luxury that Rome had to offer. The patricians had access to anything, that Rome has to offer, So this would just be giving you an example. The patricians would also have their own private bathhouses, with their servants. Some patricians preferred only male servants. Some patricians preferred female servants only. Some patricians preferred male slaves and female slaves. There was all these preferences among them. Sex slaves also, some patricians only preferred female sex slaves. I know it sounds crazy, but there's some female patricians that also had male sex slaves. All this kind of stuff was all these things is prevalent, whatever. Now the patricians would also be given the most expensive, luxurious seats in the arenas and the theaters and the hippodromes, as in when Rome hosted a gladiator tournament or a chariot racing game or a play, let's say a Roman play in a theater or amphitheater, the patricians would be having the most expensive luxury seats to watch the gladiator fights, to watch the chariot races, to watch the plays and the theater drama, So yeah, they had all these privileges to get the best seats with the best services. Their own servants would serve them, expensive wine, expensive foods. etc., etc. Okay. Also, patricians, many patricians, would own the best horses in Rome. Horses for the chariot race, the best quality horses. Some patricians even owned these exotic pets like leopards, sometimes, sometimes a tamed lion or lioness or peacocks, all these exotic pets. So, etc., etc. All these expensive birds, very rare exotic pets. Okay, so just to give you a glimpse into what a patrician lifestyle is. They also had, I said this previously, their own private luxury bathhouse. Now, look, there's a difference between a servant and a slave. Okay, now this to explain this difference, you have to ask Caesar himself or some advisor to Caesar or some patrician people or whatever. Okay. So yeah, they basically had all the luxuries, all the lavish lifestyles. Well, what would they do? Look, some patricians, male and female, that were usually patricians had a lot of responsibilities and tasks. Okay, especially the ones that were patricians because they were officers in the Roman military or in the Roman navy. So it wasn't only they had their shares of struggles and everything. What would their activities be in the civilian life? Also, the trade, well, usually the patrician tradesmen, tradeswomen, they would just walk around, make their rounds around the city, just be observers, watch people. Some patricians would even have their own private zoos in their villas, spend time with their expensive animal pets. They would go shopping in these expensive marketplaces, visit the theater, just be socialites, just have their, feasts and all these kind of things, attend the gladiator games, the chariot racing games. Some patricians would frequent these slave markets to buy slaves for all the purposes that I said, or purchase servants. A servant is not a slave, by the way. Slaves for the sake of work or for the sake of sexual pleasure, all this kind of stuff. Okay, bathhouse servants, etc., etc. Sometimes patricians, if they had nothing to do, they would just be socialites, just walk around the city accompanied by their servants or by their friends or whatever. Okay. Now, to remind you, Rome was a very socially liberal society. Okay. It wasn't much. So it wasn't like much of a family system. However, this patrician people for sure exist. Okay. It's a bit difficult to explain, but I'll try to make another video on this Roman Republic being socially liberal. Okay, the conservatism was only in the military and navy, or these kind of things. So yeah, now sometimes what patricians would do if there was nothing to do, they would just, they usually owned their own expensive chariots or chariot caravans or coaches. They would just visit one province to the other province. They would vacation all around the Roman Republic. Some patricians, from, let's say, Londonium would come down to Hispanica, for a vacation. Sometimes a Roman patrician would go from Hispanica to Rome. They just go vacationing all over the Roman Republic in their carriage wagon or something with their overly expensive horses and their luxury boats or something like that, whatever. They were also very obsessed with perfumes, scents, all types of essential oils, whatever. Okay. Now, patrician behavior. Listen, they were basically, they had very fine tastes for things. Fine taste for wine, fine taste for olive oil, perfumes, oils. They had very high standards on goods and services. Also, they were very knowledgeable and well read, as in they enjoyed visiting libraries, reading about books, about other pagan civilizations, and also, just engaging in debates, discussions, peacefully for the most part. They were very much interested in reading about philosophy, studying about the works, of Roman philosophers, studying about Egypt, which was called Egyptus or Aegyptus in the Roman Republic. That is a Roman name for Egypt. So, they would just occupy themselves in the libraries, read about books, philosophies, have discussions amongst one another. Um, they enjoyed being in the bathhouse, in the sauna or whatever, doing all this socialite stuff. You get the idea. Sometimes patricians would also write their own books, kind of thing, and some of them would also get into the arts, maybe make their own kind of pottery or something in their own private workshop in the villa or something. Discuss about, philosophies of how to run, just discuss about Roman politics. Maybe they would read things, and, these were the things they would occupy themselves with. Also, a patrician usually was very, how you say, well read and well aware of what's going on in the Roman Republic. They were not ignorant people. Because in Rome, the saying is that, look, this is another difference between Rome and Greece. In Greece, they say ignorance is bliss. But in Rome, they say awareness is bliss. So the patricians were very aware. They were definitely not stupid people, you know. They would also, care about what's happening in the Roman Republic. How's things going on in the Senate? Who are the new gladiator super celebrities in town, or the new chariot racers? They would discuss about events. If there's a military campaign, they share their opinions on it. They were very interested in also other pagan cultures and civilizations, would read about it. They would also get into habits of, what's it called? They would also they also got into this habit of, discussing about, where they were very inquisitive people about other pagan civilizations of Egypt, Babylon, etc., etc. Okay. Another thing about the patricians was they were they used to speak really well, as in they were very good orators, as in they were very skilled in poetry, they understood, they had good tastes in music, they had good taste in arts, architecture, gardening, aesthetics, fountains, all these aesthetically pleasing things, as in they had a good way of seeing things, beauty. They had an aesthetic sense for beauty, male physique, female physique. And they also spoke with very good accents in the Roman Republic, as in the best speakers and the orators was from the patricians. Okay, they would read out poetry, well spoken. They wouldn't really be so aggressive when they speak, but they had their own way of doing things. But yeah, well read and speaks well, basically, both male and female. So that's all I have to say on this. Some things you just need to ask Caesar himself. Caesar, by the way, lives an even more lavish lifestyle than the patricians. But whatever. So that's all I have to say in this voice recording. Check out some links in the description box below. See everyone later.